March 26, 1995. Los Angeles, California. Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. 6:35 p.m. Eric Eazy-E Wright lay in the hospital bed, surrounded by family. His body was failing, rapidly. The AIDS had progressed to full-blown disease. His immune system was destroyed. His organs were shutting down. It had only been 29 days since his diagnosis, less than a month. On February 24, 1995, Eazy had checked himself into Cedars-Sinai thinking he had asthma. Couldn't breathe. Constant coughing. Doctors ran tests, then more tests. Then called him into a room with a grave expression. "Mr. Wright, you have AIDS." Eazy was stunned. "That's not possible," he said. "I feel fine. I just can't breathe." But the tests didn't lie. HIV positive, progressed to AIDS, and it was advanced. "How long do I have?" Eazy asked. The doctors were honest. "Weeks, maybe a month or two. We'll do everything we can." Eazy couldn't believe it. He was 30 years old, at the peak of his career, father of multiple children, millionaire, the founder of Gangsta rap, and he was dying. In those 29 days, Eazy's condition deteriorated rapidly. Too rapidly, some would later say, suspiciously rapidly. He went from walking and talking to bedridden and unconscious in less than a month. On March 26, 1995, one day after releasing a final statement to his fans, Eric Lynn Wright took his last breath. At 6:35 p.m. on March 26, 1995, Eazy-E was pronounced dead from complications of AIDS. He was 30 years old. 31 if you count by the date on his tombstone, which lists his birth year as 1964 instead of 1963. Eazy-E, the godfather of gangsta rap, the founder of N.W.A, the man who put Compton on the map, the entrepreneur who built Ruthless Records, the voice that terrified white America, was gone, dead from AIDS in 1995. When Magic Johnson had been living with HIV for years with proper treatment, the hip-hop world was shocked, devastated, confused. How did this happen? How did Eazy get AIDS? And why did he die so fast? Conspiracy theories erupted immediately, and they persist to this day. But one thing was certain. Hip-hop had lost one of its founding fathers. The man who made gangsta rap possible. The real gangster who brought the streets to the mainstream. Now let me tell you the story of Eazy-E, the drug dealer from Compton who became a rap mogul. The fearless voice who said what nobody else would. The businessman who got screwed by everyone around him. And the controversial death that still raises questions 30 years later. Eric, the real gangster from Compton long before Eazy-E, long before N.W.A, long before the millions. There was a kid in Compton selling drugs to survive. Eric Lynn Wright was born on September 7th, 1964. Some sources say 1963, in Compton, California. His parents, Richard and Kathy Wright, were postal workers, hard-working, middle class. But Compton in the 1970s and 80s was rough. Gang violence, poverty, crack epidemic. Eric grew up in the middle of it, saw it every day. The gangbangers, the dealers, the violence. Compton wasn't a joke, Eazy later said. It was real. People were dying every day. Eric was small, only 5 feet 3 inches as an adult. But he was fearless, street smart, hustling from a young age. He dropped out of high school in the 10th grade, started selling drugs, weed at first, then cocaine, then crack when it hit the streets in the mid-80s. "I was a dope dealer," Eazy admitted freely. "That's what you did in Compton. That's how you survived." But Eric was smart about it. He didn't use the drugs he sold. He saved his money, had a plan. By his early 20s, Eric had made about $250,000 from selling drugs. A fortune for a kid from Compton. "I wanted to get out of the streets," Eric said. "I didn't want to end up dead or in prison." Eric loved music, hip-hop especially. He saw what artists like Run DMC and LL Cool J were doing, making money legally, building empires. "I thought, I can do that," Eric said. "I can start a record label, get out the game." In 1986, Eric used his drug money to start Ruthless Records. He was 22 years old, but Eric wasn't much of a rapper himself. His voice was high-pitched, kinda squeaky, not intimidating. So he recruited talent, found local rappers in Compton, started recording. That's when he met a kid named Andre Young, known as Dr. Dre. Dre was DJing at a club in Compton. He was talented, could make beats, produce. Eric offered him a deal. "Come work for Ruthless, make music, we'll split the profits." Dre agreed. He brought his friend O'Shea Jackson, Ice Cube, who was one of the best lyricists in LA. They started recording together, making songs about Compton, about the streets, about gang life. Eric took the name Eazy-E. Dre was Dr. Dre, Cube was Ice Cube. They recruited other members, DJ Yella, MC Ren, Arabian Prince, and they called themselves N.W.A, Niggas with Attitudes. But Eric wasn't just a rapper. He was the money man, the CEO, the founder of Ruthless Records. Eazy was the one with the vision, Dr. Dre later said. He put up the money, he made it happen. In 1988, N.W.A released their debut album, Straight Outta Compton, and it changed hip-hop forever. But it also made Eazy-E a target for everyone. Straight Outta Compton, the album that shocked America. Straight Outta Compton wasn't like other rap albums. It was raw, violent, unapologetic, real. The opening track, Straight Outta Compton, introduced the group. Straight Outta Compton, crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube / from the gang called Niggas with Attitudes. Then Eazy's verse. That high-pitched voice rapping about violence and Compton. Eazy-E's the name and the boy is coming. The album had tracks about gang life, police brutality, street violence, drugs, sex. But the most controversial song was Fuck the Police, a song directly attacking law enforcement, calling them out for racism, brutality, corruption. Fuck the police coming straight from the underground / a young nigga got it bad 'cause I'm brown. White America was terrified. Politicians condemned the album. The FBI sent a letter to the record label calling N.W.A dangerous. This is not music, critics said. This is promoting violence. But N.W.A didn't care. We're just telling the truth, Eazy said. This is our reality. Straight Outta Compton went platinum, then double platinum, eventually triple platinum. Without radio play, without MTV, just word of mouth and underground tape trading. N.W.A became the most controversial group in music, and Eazy-E became the face of it. He embraced the villain role, wore all black, dark sunglasses, jerry curl, Raiders gear. "I'm the gangster rapper," Eazy said. "I'm not pretending. I lived this life." And it was true. Unlike many rappers, Eazy was actually from the streets, had actually sold drugs, had actually been in the life. Eazy gave N.W.A authenticity, said a music journalist. He was the real deal. By 1989, N.W.A was huge, touring, making money, building an empire. But problems were brewing. Money issues, creative differences, egos. Ice Cube felt he wasn't getting paid fairly. He was writing most of the lyrics but getting a fraction of the profits. I'm doing all the work and getting screwed, Cube said. In 1989, Ice Cube left N.W.A. acrimoniously. He went solo, released brutal diss tracks aimed at Eazy and N.W.A.'s manager, Jerry Heller. No Vaseline, 1991, was one of the most vicious diss tracks in hip-hop history. Cube destroyed Eazy, called him a puppet, said Heller was controlling him. The beef was brutal, but N.W.A. continued without Cube. Then in 1991, Dr. Dre also left. Same issues: money, control, Jerry Heller. Jerry was taking advantage of Eazy, Dre later said, and Eazy couldn't see it. Dre went to Death-Row Records, released The Chronic in 1992. It was a massive success, and Dre took shots at Eazy on the album. "Fuck with Dre Day," mocked Eazy mercilessly. Eazy fired back with his own diss tracks. Real Motherfucking G's, 1993. The beef was intense, nasty, personal. But through it all, Eazy kept Ruthless Records going, signed new artists, released albums. By the mid-90s, Eazy was still relevant, still making money, still a force in hip-hop. He was also living the lifestyle. Multiple women, multiple children, partying, no protection, no worries. "I was invincible," Eazy later admitted. "I thought nothing could touch me." But in February 1995, Eazy started feeling sick, couldn't breathe, thought it was asthma. He checked into Cedars-Sinai Hospital, and his life changed forever, because the diagnosis he got would kill him in less than a month. February 1995. The diagnosis that shocked the world when Eazy checked into Cedars-Sinai in late February 1995. He thought it was a minor issue. Breathing problems, coughing, fatigue, probably bronchitis or asthma. Doctors ran tests, chest x-rays, blood work. Then they found it. HIV advanced, progressed to AIDS. Eazy was in complete shock. "How is this possible?" he asked. "I'm fine. I don't feel sick." But he wasn't fine. The virus had been destroying his immune system for years, probably since the late 80s or early 90s. By the time symptoms appeared, it was too late. AIDS was a death sentence in 1995, especially advanced AIDS. "There are treatments," doctors told Eazy. "AZT protease inhibitors. We can slow it down, give you more time." But Eazy's case was severe. The virus had done too much damage. Eazy was admitted to the hospital. His condition deteriorated rapidly. Within days, he developed pneumonia. His lungs were filling with fluid. He couldn't breathe without oxygen. His family was notified. His baby mothers, his children, his friends. Everyone rushed to the hospital, couldn't believe it. Eazy had seemed fine just weeks ago. "How did this happen?" they asked. "Who gave it to him?" Eazy had been with multiple women, dozens, maybe hundreds, never used protection. "That's how I got it," Eazy said. "I was reckless. I thought I was untouchable." But there were also whispers, rumors, conspiracy theories. Some people suspected Suge Knight, the CEO of Death-Row Records and Eazy's enemy. Suge had publicly threatened Eazy, had tried to intimidate him, wanted him to release Dr. Dre from his Ruthless Records contract. Suge did this, some claimed. He infected Eazy somehow, injected him with HIV. It sounds crazy. But Suge Knight himself fueled the rumor years later. In a 2003 interview with Jimmy Kimmel, Suge made a cryptic comment. "People say Eazy-E died of AIDS, but there's another way to die of AIDS. You can be injected with something. That's a known fact." The room went silent. Was Suge confessing, hinting at something? He never elaborated, but the rumor persisted. Medical experts say it's possible, but unlikely. HIV transmission through injection is possible, but orchestrating it, difficult, risky. It's more likely Eazy got it through unprotected sex, said a medical expert. He was with a lot of women, never used. Protection, that's the most probable explanation. But conspiracy theorists weren't convinced. The speed of his decline was suspicious. Eazy went from healthy to dead in 1 month, they said. That's not normal, even for AIDS. Actually, it is possible. If someone has untreated HIV for years, when it progresses to AIDS and symptoms appear, the decline can be very rapid. But the timing felt suspicious to many. Eazy had enemies, powerful enemies. We'll never know the truth. But what's certain is that Eazy-E was dying. Fast. On March 16, 1995, about 3 weeks after his diagnosis, Eazy married his longtime girlfriend, Tamika Woods, at his hospital bedside. He wanted to make sure she and their children were taken care of, legally protected. By late March, Eazy was barely conscious. The pneumonia was overwhelming his lungs. His body was shutting down. On March 24, 1995, Eazy dictated a final statement to be released to his fans and the public. The statement, released March 25th, read, "I may not seem like a guy you would pick to preach a sermon, but I feel it is now time to testify, because I do have folks who do care about my problem, and I do feel that many of you deserve the right to hear about it from me. I'm not religious, but wrong or right, that's me. I'm not saying this because I'm looking for a soft cushion wherever I'm heading. I just feel I've got thousands and thousands of young fans that have to learn about what's real when it comes to AIDS. Like the others before me, I would like to turn my own problem into something good that will reach out to all my homeboys and their kin. Because I want to save their asses before it's too late. I'm not looking to blame anyone except myself. I have learned in the past few weeks that this thing is real and it doesn't discriminate. It affects everyone. My final word is for young people. Reality is real. Protect yourself and love yourself." The statement was powerful, honest, vulnerable. But by the time it was released on March 25th, Eazy was unconscious, on life support. On March 26, 1995, his family made the decision to remove life support. At 6:35 p.m., Eric Eazy-E Wright died from complications of AIDS. He was 30 years old, left behind at least 11 children from multiple women, and hip-hop lost one of its founding fathers. The funeral. Compton says goodbye to its king. Eazy-E's funeral was held on April 7, 1995, at First African Methodist Episcopal Church in Los Angeles. Over 3,000 people attended. The church was packed, overflowing. Fans lined the streets, wearing black, jerry curls, Raiders gear, paying respect. Inside, the casket was white. Eazy was dressed in a flannel shirt and Compton hat, looking like himself. The eulogies were emotional, painful. Jerry Heller, Eazy's manager and business partner, spoke, could barely get through it. Eric was more than an artist, Jerry said. He was a son, a father, a friend. He changed the world. MC Ren spoke, remembered the N.W.A. days, the brotherhood they'd shared. Eazy put us all on, Ren said. Without him, there's no N.W.A., no gangsta rap. He did that. DJ Yella spoke, reminisced about making beats in the garage, building something from nothing. Bone Thugs and Harmony, artists Eazy had signed to Ruthless Records, performed an emotional tribute. They later released Dark Crossroads in Eazy's memory. It became a massive hit. #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song was everywhere that summer, a tribute to Eazy, to friends lost to violence and disease. Ice Cube was at the funeral. He and Eazy had been beefing for years, but Cube put it aside. "Eazy was my brother," Cube said. "We had our issues, but I loved him." Dr. Dre was also there, stoic, quiet, clearly affected. "I wish we'd made up before this," Dre later said. "There was so much left unsaid." Eazy's children were there. So many children, from different mothers, all devastated. "My dad was larger than life," said one of his daughters. "I can't believe he's gone." After the service, a funeral procession drove through Compton. Through the streets Eazy had rapped about, where he'd grown up, where he'd hustled. Thousands lined the streets, threw up gang signs respectfully, played N.W.A. music, wept. Eazy was buried at Rose Hills Memorial Park in Whittier, California. His grave became a pilgrimage site. Fans visit constantly, leave flowers, notes, bottles of beer. The headstone reads, Eric Eazy-E Wright, 1964 to 1995, devoted father, loving son. The conspiracy. Did Suge Knight kill Eazy-E? In the years after Eazy's death, the conspiracy theories grew. The most persistent, Suge Knight had Eazy-E injected with HIV. The theory goes like this. Suge wanted Dr. Dre out of his Ruthless Records contract. Eazy refused to release him. Suge threatened Eazy, intimidated him, but Eazy wouldn't budge. So Suge had someone inject Eazy with HIV-infected blood. Eazy got sick, died. Problem solved. Evidence cited by conspiracy theorists. 1. Suge's 2003. Comment on Jimmy Kimmel Live. There's another way to get AIDS. Injection. That's a known fact. 2. The speed of Eazy's decline. 29 days from diagnosis to death. Very fast, even for AIDS. 3. Suge's history of violence. He was known for intimidation, assault, having people hurt. 4. Motive. Suge wanted Dre Eazy was in the way. But medical experts and investigators dismiss the theory. HIV transmission through injection is possible, said a virologist. But orchestrating it? Getting close enough to Eazy to inject him without him knowing? Highly unlikely. The rapid decline is explainable, said an AIDS specialist. If Eazy had HIV for 5 to 10 years untreated and it progressed to AIDS, the end can come very quickly once symptoms appear. Eazy had unprotected sex with dozens of women, said investigators. That's the most likely source of infection. Suge Knight has never been charged with anything related to Eazy's death. Never formally accused, never investigated. Is it possible? Technically, yes. Is it probable? No. But in hip-hop, the conspiracy theory persists because it makes narrative sense. Good versus evil. Death Row versus Ruthless. Suge versus Eazy. I think Eazy died of AIDS, said Ice Cube. Natural causes, not a conspiracy. But I understand why people think otherwise. The truth? We'll probably never know for certain. Eazy's medical records are private. The exact source of his HIV infection was never determined. What's certain is that Eazy-E died of AIDS, and his death shocked the hip-hop world. The legacy. The Godfather who changed everything. 29 years have passed since Eazy-E died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, and his influence is everywhere. Eazy-E is credited with creating gangsta rap as we know it. Without him, there's no N.W.A, no Snoop Dogg, no Tupac, no West Coast rap dominance. Eazy made it possible for the rest of us, said Ice Cube. He opened the door. Straight Outta Compton is considered one of the most important albums in music. History. Not just hip-hop, all music. It proved that artists could be controversial, dangerous, anti-authority, and still be successful. N.W.A. didn't ask for permission, said a music historian. They just did it, and Eazy was the one who made it happen. Eazy's business acumen is often overlooked. He founded Ruthless Records, signed artists, built the empire. Eazy was a CEO, said Jerry Heller. He understood the business side. He wasn't just a rapper. Artists Eazy signed to Ruthless. Bone Thugs and Harmony, massive success. Above the Law, Cocaine, various other West Coast acts. Eazy had an ear for talent, said a music executive. He knew what was hot. The 2015 film Straight Outta Compton introduced N.W.A. to a new generation. Made $200 million worldwide. Jason Mitchell played Eazy. The performance was praised. The film showed Eazy's importance. A lot of young people didn't know who Eazy-E was, said the film's director. Now they do. Eazy's children have kept his legacy alive. His son, Eric Wright Jr., Lil Eazy-E, is a rapper. His daughter, E.B. Wright, is a music executive. We're continuing what our father started, said E.B., keeping his name alive. Every year on Eazy's birthday, September 7th, fans celebrate, play his music, visit his grave. Compton has embraced Eazy as a legend, a hometown hero, the one who put them on the map. But Eazy's death also serves as a cautionary tale about AIDS. In 1995, HIV/AIDS was still heavily stigmatized, especially in the black community, especially in hip-hop. Nobody talked about AIDS in hip-hop, said a journalist. Eazy's death forced that conversation. After Eazy died, more artists opened up about HIV. More awareness campaigns targeted young black men. Eazy's final message was powerful, said an AIDS activist. He told young people, protect yourself. This is real. Magic Johnson, who announced his HIV diagnosis in 1991, has lived with the virus for over 30 years thanks to treatment. If Eazy had been diagnosed earlier, said a doctor, with proper treatment, he'd probably still be alive today. That's the tragedy. Eazy didn't know he was infected. By the time he found out, it was too late. I wish I'd gotten tested, Eazy said in one of his final conversations. I wish I'd protected myself. His death at 30 robbed hip-hop of what could have been. More albums, more artists developed, more evolution. Eazy was just getting started, said Ice Cube. He had so much more to give. Epilogue. The Godfather's final message. If Eazy-E had lived past March 26, 1995, what would he have accomplished? Would Ruthless Records have become an empire? Would he have made peace with Cube and Dre? Would he have signed more legendary artists? We'll never know. All we have are 30 years. One classic album with N.W.A, a few solo projects, a record label, and a legacy that changed music forever. On that March afternoon, Eric Eazy-E Wright died from complications of AIDS. Killed by a virus he didn't know he had. Contracted through reckless behavior he admitted to. Gone in 29 days. But Eazy's final message resonates today. Reality is real. Protect yourself and love yourself. It's a message young people still need to hear. About HIV, about health, about consequences. Eric Wright was a drug dealer who became a mogul, a gangster who became an entrepreneur, a street kid who changed the world. He gave voice to Compton, to the streets, to people society ignored. He made it okay to be real, to be raw, to not apologize, and he built an empire from drug money and vision. Eazy-E was the godfather of gangsta rap, the founder, the originator, the one who made it all possible. Without Eazy, there's no West Coast rap as we know it. No Snoop, no Tupac, no Kendrick. He opened the door, and an entire culture walked through. At 30, Eazy-E's life ended. But his legend began. Every time someone plays Straight Outta Compton, every time a young artist from the hood signs a record deal, every time someone refuses to compromise their truth, that's Eazy-E. Still here, still influential, still the Godfather. Rest in power, Eric. Eazy-E, the realest to ever do it. Compton, ruthless, forever.